RITC Cybersecurity, empowering businesses with robust cybersecurity protection.
Welcome to the Cyber Reality Podcast from RITC Cybersecurity, small businesses partner in proactive cybersecurity. I'm Mike Rotundo. Here with me, as always, my co-host, Mari Cherry, the brains behind the podcast, the wind beneath our wings, our hope for the future. Today, we're going to unravel the mysteries of cybersecurity one bite at a time. We explore digital heists, hacker exploits, uncover online threats, and the strategies to stay ahead. Whether you're an IT pro, business owner, or just safeguarding your personal stuff, this is your guide to the cyber world. Today, we're going to go through some cybersecurity news and talk about some topics. What do we got, Mari?
Topic for today, public versus private cybersecurity.
Nice.
Yeah. For news, first story we have is from Cybersecurity News. And I bet you can't guess why I picked this one.
I think you like the name,
I did.
to be
That's
honest.
exactly why.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Mysterious Elephant APT hackers infiltrate organization to steal sensitive information. That's why I picked it.
Yep. That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this and then we can discuss.
Yeah.
In recent months, a new advanced persistent threat APT group known as Mysterious Elephant has emerged as a formidable adversary targeting government and diplomatic institutions across the Asia-Pacific region.
Yes.
Early indicators pointed to simple phishing lures delivering weaponized documents, but the latest campaign exhibits a significant evolution in both delivery mechanisms and post-exploitation tooling. Initial incursions
Yep.
Incursions leveraged spear phishing emails embedding malicious office documents exploiting CVE-2017-118882, whatever that means.
Well, so CV 2017 is the year, so it's old actually.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Mhm.
I didn't know that. That is old.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
It's like
What in the
last decade.
Yeah.
So 2017.
So 2017. Upon user interaction, these documents drop a lightweight PowerShell loader that retrieves more complex payloads from attacker-controlled infrastructure. This loader, dubbed Shell,
Yep.
that's fun,
Yep.
serves as the foundation of the threat actor's modular framework. As the campaign progressed into 2025, Mysterious Elephant integrated a second stage loader, memloader hidden desk, to inject remote access Trojans directly into memory, reducing forensic artifacts on disk. I thought that was really interesting. So it wasn't just the name, I guess, but the name was the main reason I even opened the article.
Yeah.
The infection chain begins with a spear phishing email containing a seemingly benign meeting invitation in an RTF document. When opened, the document triggers a memory corruption vulnerability in the Office equation editor, and then it gives the CVE again, silently spawning a PowerShell process. So I want to talk about this memory, dropping it directly into memory where it says reducing forensic artifacts.
Yes.
I don't fully understand what that means, but it sounds really interesting and fun.
So the virus actually, or the malware actually only exists in memory and doesn't actually install anything. So as long as the memory is up and active, then it's actually running, which is why we tell people when they get hacked, don't turn off your computer because you would lose everything.
Oh.
Because it just literally exists in memory. So you have short-term memory and long-term memory on a computer, and then you have storage, right? So short-term memory is just what's going on. Then you have longer-term memory, which, and then storage. And these are never stored. They're never installed. So
Have we talked about this before?
nope.
This sounds new. Okay. Do we have anything else to talk about this?
They actually showed an example in the
Yeah.
story of one of the phishing emails, and you can tell it's definitely aimed at APAC because it was all about Pakistan being accepted as a temporary member of the Security Council. And obviously, anybody in Pakistan or India or in one of those adjacent places, Bangladesh, probably Sri Lanka, would go ahead and try, or actually, anyway, those names keep changing in Bangladesh, maybe Sri Lanka, I don't remember now. But anyway, would open that and want to read it. So once they open it and want to read it, all of a sudden they're going to kick off this malware that's going to start downloading stuff. And you get the whole what the PowerShell thing was. It's like this, it's a little application that's going to run and it's going to start pulling down those different modules like we've talked about in other malware before.
Next one,
Okay.
again, I picked it for the name.
Kind of figured you did.
I said it. I pronounced it Qilin Ransomware.
Works for me.
Okay.
Q-U
Also,
or Qilin. Pronounce that however you want.
Qilin. Yeah, I pronounced it Qilin
Yeah.
Ransomware, using Ghost Bulletproof Hosting to attack organizations world. Also,
Yeah.
Bulletproof is one of my favorite Godsmack songs.
Oh, okay.
Couple reasons. This is
Yeah.
also from Cybersecurity News, though. All right, so the Qilin Ransomware Group has emerged as one of the most prolific and dangerous threat actors in the cybersecurity landscape, exploiting sophisticated bulletproof hosting infrastructure to conduct devastating attacks on organizations across multiple sectors. I don't know what this bulletproof hosting is, so can you explain it a little bit
So,
more?
from what I gather from the article, is the bulletproof hosting is basically hacker hosting. So it is a nefarious organization that, and as you read the rest of the story, it sounds like they're actually doing RAS as well, but they're actually providing a hosting site for cyber criminals. So it's in Hong Kong and it's Russian tied, and so it's secure hosting and that they
You're
can use.
hosting.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, AWS is getting too smart for it. So is Google. I mean, in Azure, because they used to just put stuff up there. Well, now there's controls in that. There still is stuff up there, but not as much. So now you've got these criminal organizations forming their own hosting service. And I don't know if you read all the way down to the bottom of the article,
Mhm.
but they basically closed the doors and left and took all the cash and said, "Screw you guys," and said, "We're done." And then they were still there. And so they just got rid of all their current clients, which in that world may not be a long life decision. So depending on who they are.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Okay.
They're criminals and they're stealing
Yeah,
from other
of course.
criminals. So,
Um, if no one knows who they are, though, do you think it?
but you're talking about hackers that are going to track down those, they can track down those people. And a lot of those guys are like mercenaries. That some of the people that I've dealt with before actually work with like armed mercenaries and those kind of people, and they're integrated with them. And so, hey, armed mercenary buddy, they just stole a bunch of money from us by shutting down this hacking thing. Well, can you track them down? Sure, we'll find them. And we're not going to hug them and treat them lover like. We're going to,
No, no,
no, I'm thinking no.
they're not going to use kind words and soft hands.
No, no. It's like, hey, man, can we meet for a coffee and have a talk? Not going to happen that way.
Yikes. I just wish I knew how, though. I don't want to be involved technically, actually. I just wish I knew how. I just wish I could if I wanted to.
Hack?
You, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Well, you're going to be taking those classes in a year or two. We're going to put you through all of it. Yep.
Right.
Might as well get you
Yeah.
educated,
Well, I
matriculated.
should learn something sometime, somewhere.
Yep.
All
Get
right,
your
so
AI
okay.
classes done first.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah. Let me move first.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the story. Let's see. Most notably, the gang recently claimed responsibility for the September 2025 ransomware attack that crippled operations. Japan's largest beverage manufacturer, forcing production shutdowns at most of its 30 factories for nearly 2 weeks.
Mhm.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Not okay. Uh, the ransomware operation maintains variants written in both Golang and Rust programming languages.
Those are just programming. Rust is just a newer programming language, and Golang is another one. It's just, I think Golang stands for Google Language, so I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Neither of them sound familiar to me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Demonstrating technical versatility that enables cross-platform attacks. So, from both of these programming languages, is that what it's talking about, or just any platform?
All it's doing is basically they're custom coding for whatever they need to, and that's all it is. So it's across platforms. So it's not limited like to a Windows attack only, or it's not limited. It can hit
Gotcha.
Windows and Linux and Mac and yeah,
Okay. It
yeah,
did say that, but I just didn't know. Anyway, okay.
yeah,
According to the Health Sector Cybersecurity Coordination Center, Qilin gains initial access through spear phishing campaigns and leverages remote monitoring and management tools alongside other common penetration tools to assistance within compromised. The group practices double extortion tactics, encrypting victim data while simultaneously exfiltrating sensitive information to pressure organizations into paying ransoms.
Hmm.
Their RAS platform provides affiliates with user-friendly panels to configure attacks, manage victims, and negotiate ransom while maintaining a data leak site on the Tor network for publishing stolen data.
yeah. That's those
It's
cyber
not
market.
funny. It's
No, but those are cyber marketplaces that we talk about. So they're publishing
yeah.
that data, and people can go buy it and do whatever they want with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not laughing. I mean, I am laughing because it makes me chuckle. I find it
Yeah.
humorous, but it's not what's happening. It's just the way that it's set up. I don't know why that's still is so funny to me that it's like it seems like people playing house kind of. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
doesn't seem real. It
No,
is.
it is. Yeah, I
Um,
like the double extortion tactics too.
mhm.
You know, we're going to encrypt you and we're going to steal your data.
Yeah,
So,
lucky.
and then, there still are those companies out there that are people, cyber criminals out there that will not only encrypt your data, then once you pay them to release it, decrypt it, they'll take the money and then delete the data that they took and not never give you the encryption key, decryption key.
Right, because why not?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Why not? Right, exactly. What are you gonna do? Oh, anyway, anything else? Any tidbits you want to add?
Um, no, but I mean, you've seen that these are more RAS platforms, right? The ransomware as a service is becoming a bigger and bigger deal.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Okay.
hey, they're
Again, from
business people.
cybersecurity news. Well,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, everyone's just trying to make money, right?
right. Pretty much.
The root of all evil, I swear. All right. Cybersecurity news. Beware of fake LastPass emails trying to trick users into installing malware. Um, so this one I picked because it was LastPass.
Yeah. We know somebody that, yeah.
Mhm. Cybersecurity professionals are raising alarm over a new wave of phishing emails masquerading as breach notifications from LastPass. These messages warn recipients of an urgent account compromise and urge them to download a security patch to restore access, which is so mean because
Yeah.
this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to patch things.
Right.
You're supposed to update things. Ugh,
Well, that's like the one
whatever.
we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week, that you were downloading a patch for that gaming thing,
Oh, hmm,
those games, and that was just part of the.
hmm, yeah, it's
So,
mean.
yeah.
In reality, the downloadable file contains a sophisticated malware loader designed to harvest credentials and deploy additional payloads. The scheme has been active since early October and has already ensnared several enterprise users. The email leveraged familiar LastPass branding, complete with company logos and links that appear to direct victims to be legitimate domains. However, closer inspection reveals subtle URL manipulations that redirect users to attacker-controlled servers hosting malicious.
Executables. So I'm here
Anyway,
for.
um, thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I think the pollution of supply chains has become a bigger deal. And, most people aren't going to look that closely at what it is. I mean, if it's coming through the LastPass channel, now that's the other thing.
Yeah.
How does LastPass update? Does it, do you have a setting internally to update immediately so it doesn't require, or automatically so it doesn't require you to interact with it?
Yeah.
That's where we have our password manager set, so they just automatically update. We don't ever have to, we'll never see an email. So if you are using it in that mode, then if you get an email saying you need to download this patch and install, then you know this is garbage. But the average regular user isn't going to know that. They're not going to see that. They're not going to think, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me because, they're not going to know IT maybe has it locked down and set to auto update. So,
Cool.
yeah,
Just be super careful, I guess. Read
yeah.
every letter.
Unfortunately,
Hmm.
that's what you have to do now.
Yeah,
So
that's all I've got for news.
that's it.
That's it.
That was kind of enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all right, topic for this episode is public versus private cybersecurity. And I have a little definition of each, but you can tell me if I'm
Okay.
if I'm wrong.
Um,
Okay. Uh, public cybersecurity is about protecting at the national level.
hmm
Okay, think of agencies like the Department of Homeland Security or the FBI, Cyber Division.
Right.
Um, and their job would be safeguarding critical infrastructure for government systems and national secrets.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds what's the word I'm looking at? Like a movie, National Secrets, you know?
Yes.
And then private cybersecurity happens inside businesses, hospitals, banks, and small startups.
Yep.
These companies invest in cybersecurity teams or hire firms
Yep.
like RITC
Exactly.
to protect their data, stay compliant, and keep their operations safe or their clients or patients' information.
hmm
Um, does that sound right? Do I
That
have these
sounds right.
definitions
I think
pretty
you got
close?
it. Yep. I think you got
Would
it.
you add anything to the public cybersecurity sector or the private cybersecurity sector?
No, I would just add one more sector of like the home sector as a consideration as well. So,
Oh, yeah. Dang, I totally missed that.
yeah, that's
That's
all right.
true.
That's all
Okay.
right.
All right. So I saw this and it's like if the government is like the military defending the country from foreign threats, that cybersecurity is more like personal bodyguards for your data.
That makes sense.
They move faster, adapt quickly, and focus on business survival.
Yeah.
Both sectors overlap when private companies detect a new threat. Is this correct? This is some
Yeah,
information I
because
found,
what's
but
going to be a threat to the private sector is also going to be a threat to the public sector.
okay. So they often share their intel with public agencies to help strengthen the national defense.
hmm
But also, so it's not just about data; it's about trust. And I saw this, and I'm curious what your thoughts on it are. It said the public side sets the standards, the private side brings innovation.
Yes, that's correct. I 100%
Okay,
agree with that.
I don't remember where I saw it and who said it, so if someone knows, let me know and we can credit where that came from, but I don't remember where I saw it.
Well, I mean, think about how much innovation actually happens in government.
Mhm.
Not much, but they
I
do
don't
set
know.
standards, right? They got a bunch of smart
Sure.
people, allegedly smart people,
Yeah.
marginally smart people, sitting around thinking up stuff and creating rules that the rest of us have to follow. And then, the private sector people like us have to come and figure out how to follow it, how to make it
Hmm.
cost effective, and how to make it make sense.
Yeah. Our whole job lately.
Yeah.
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 Am I missing any examples?
No, I think that's you covered it.
Okay. And then I came up with a couple questions.
Okay.
How often are frameworks like NIST or other things, those are not required by law, right? Or are they for specific organizations?
For CMMC, it's NIST 800, 171A, and 171, I believe, is
Hmm.
required. And then, so that's really the only NIST requirement as a foundation for CMMC. But, generally now to deal with the government, you have to be CMMC compliant, right? That's a whole DoD,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, or Department of War now, or whatever it is. So if you're dealing
Oh, is
with,
it?
yeah. Um, but it's generally client driven. A lot of it's being in a small business being driven by insurance requirements,
Oh,
or other customers requiring the security framework. So, but I
yeah.
mean, HIPAA is something that you are required by law. They just don't have any real teeth in auditing it. Um, and then, SOC 2 is not required by law, but is required by businesses to in order to do conduct business, and then PCI is required by the credit card industry. PCI was actually created, like High Trust was created by the health insurance company. PCI was actually created by MasterCard and Visa.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or at least
And then
talk to me
American
more.
Express and Discover may have been in there. They may not have been. I don't remember. But yeah, I know it was MasterCard and Visa for sure.
So there's not necessarily many laws in place, just what you call it?
Unfortunately, not.
Yeah, not yet, maybe. Do you think that
I
would
think
be a
they're
good idea?
coming.
Yeah. Seemed like it
So
would be a good idea,
yeah,
right?
there's got to be national standards. You got too many people skating around. But the problem is that all right, then who's going to enforce it? Well, then we got to have these auditors. Well, the problem is that you get these big companies, the primes that come in and say and create all that, they put them all in a council and say, all right, let's create the standards that we have to audit by. And they make them
Yeah.
so cumbersome that they squeeze people like us out of it because it's like, when we were originally looking at FedRAMP at a previous company, it was like, well, you have to have this resource and this resource and this resource and this resource and this resource. And it's like, I don't need to hire
Resources.
10 people for a $75,000 contract so I can get this thing done. I mean, it's just like,
Wow.
and you have to have these, having the controls in place is fine, but, they don't have the understanding of running lean, and their whole idea is to put you out of business because that's more pie for them, even though they don't want to deal with the small businesses, which is where we come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So that's lucky for us.
yeah.
Sucks for other people
So,
though.
but that's the problem is that the government will come in and say, all right, fine, we're going to hand this off to the private sector to go ahead and create these things. Well, these private sector guys have their own self-interest.
Right.
And rarely is, our Mike and Mari from RITC invited to be on the council for, putting this stuff together. So, it's
Dang it.
people that are used to dealing with $5 million IT budgets, not,
Yeah.
our clients deal with $50,000 or $100,000 IT budgets,
Because money.
Yeah, because money's a thing.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So also this other question is, would you agree?
Okay.
Public trust and stability, one of the two higher priorities, even if innovation moves slowly for smaller companies. Obviously for smaller companies, but do you think if larger companies maybe focused on that, it could
On
change?
stability, yeah. Yeah, and public trust, yeah, in order to maintain their market shares and maintain their business and
Do
stock
you think that
prices.
is
And
just across the board, any size company?
I think any size company is looking for stability, but and innovation can be, can rock the boat and create waves and that sort of thing. So it depends on the man, it also comes down to the management style of the leadership. If are they open to innovation? Are they not open to innovation? And that's why, you've got, you know, bleeding edge, cutting edge, adopted, and then, behind the curve when it comes to technology. It's like there are those companies that are more than willing to jump out on the bleeding edge, which incurs a lot of risk. Leading edge means this has been around for a while. We've had lots of proof of concept. We know it works. And then the adoption phase when most companies consider it stable and just adopt it without much question. And then you got those people that are still running steam powered whatever. And they eventually jump on the bandwagon and they're still far behind. So,
Yeah.
but a lot of that happens when you try and jump from the public sector to the private sector because you've been working in government and you've got these really static things, or and actually from really big companies to little companies, because a lot of time big companies like to stick with the technology for a long time, whereas little companies are moving and innovating faster and faster because they want to be big companies.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So
Um, did we go over the public sector, government, cybersecurity is driven by regulations, national security, and private security?
I think you touched on it, but did you want to go more in depth on that?
Maybe, I don't know, in continuity of operations.
Hmm. Continuity of operations is critical because you want stability, and so people aren't going to trust. If your bank's ATMs are down all the time,
Yeah, not
you
great.
can trust them.
No.
Which reminds me of a kind of funny story when I was working for a fairly large bank. Was not personally involved with this, but somebody pushed an update that knocked out all the ATMs on the East Coast for 24 hours on a weekend.
Oh no, I bet so many
Yeah,
people did.
yeah, and they went outside the chart to change band and just went ahead and pushed it, and yeah, it was bad.
Horrible.
People lost their jobs. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's bad news.
Yeah.
All right. In the private sector, like businesses, cybersecurity is driven by profit, brand reputation, and customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Customer requirements. So that's what we were talking about SOC 2. It's like I'm only going to do business with you if you have a SOC 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And customer relations too. I feel like even in businesses, when you're in bigger companies, it seems like that kind of goes away a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of like the thought of keeping a little bit smaller company so we can keep those relationships with clients.
Yeah.
Not
No, that
not
makes sense.
super small. I would like to grow a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not
No, but there's a sweet
enormous.
spot in there where, we're
Yeah.
not a big company, but we're not a little company either. We're
Mhm.
a boutique cybersecurity company.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Um, and then I saw this too, so I'm wondering if you what your thoughts are on it. So private companies are quick to adapt cutting edge tools, but may cut corners if it doesn't directly affect their bottom line until a breach anyway. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on it? Yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I've seen that. And I've also seen companies cycle through tools and never fully implement them because they're not easy. And they've spent
Mhm.
a couple $100,000 on something. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, it's not working right. And I mean, I told that story, and then there's actually an article or a chapter in my first book called Tools, where I was at a bank and they were looking for this solution. And they had all these different tools in there, and they had the solution sitting there running for 5 years in beta and had been paying for it. That did everything, and then but they'd been buying all these other things. Well, part of the problem was they had so much turnover in their cybersecurity department that they didn't know what was there. So the people that originally implemented it were all gone, fired, quit, whatever. And so yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've seen that live and in person, you know, in multiple
And
places.
I remember this story from another episode. I don't remember which episode specifically, but I remember you bringing it up before. Is wouldn't that be okay, first of all, how does that go unnoticed for so long? And isn't that dangerous?
Extremely dangerous, but it goes, I mean, when you're a bank and you have more money and know what to do with,
Hmm.
right? Then they'll throw money at projects. And if you've got a management team that knows how to make really good presentations and hit the board at the right pain points or the right interest points, you can always get more budget.
Yeah.
So, and if you've got the unscrupulous behavior of willing to hide your failures because they don't know what's going on, but part of the problem is why does it keep going? Is because no one ever notified accounting to turn off the auto renewal. And
Yeah.
no, so that's part of it. Or it was, was set up by somebody who was no longer there. So no one knew it actually, I think this one, no one knew it actually existed. They just kept cutting checks until I found it. And I'm like, well, why don't we use
Ouch.
this? Because this does everything that you want to do and then some. And they're like, well, what will that cost? And I'm like, you already own it. It's still in
You're
beta.
paying for
You just have to turn on like, oh, really? And that was a big
Oh,
fight because they're like, well, you're not our contact there. And it's like, well, that contact's been gone for 5 years and we just found this and we've been paying for it for 5 years. Oh, okay. Well, and it was a big, it took like a month to get it turned on. Yeah. Yeah. Because they had to verify we are who we are. And I was like, oh, I didn't care. I was a consultant. I was getting paid $300 an hour to be there. So I was fine.
yeah. Okay. I'll get a hold of those guys next week.
No, I mean, we did made every effort we could, but I mean, when you're waiting on the vendor, there's really
What do you
not
do?
much you can do.
Oh my gosh.
So, calling
So
and yelling at the vendor every 5 minutes isn't going to make them move any faster.
no, but I guess that's why offboarding policies are a good thing, huh?
Oh yeah, for anything, and decommissioning policies for
Hmm.
software and hardware.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, is there is there any like key factors or things that I missed for either of
No,
these?
no, I think you covered it very succinctly.
That's all I've got. I've got questions, but that's pretty much it.
And to touch on the home sector real quick,
Oh
um,
yeah, let's do that.
you, even at home, you have something they want to steal, even if it's your compute power. And it's just critical that everything is maintains is patched, and you don't need to chase the latest and greatest software. Just stick with the stable stuff and run your antivirus that you know and that has been running for a while. And new antivirus, make sure it's updated to the latest and greatest all the time, and keep your stuff patched. And be careful what you click. I mean, but you have the same rules, and anybody that's at home is most likely taking cybersecurity training at work. You have to bring those ideals home. I mean, unless you're in a blue collar position or you work for yourself, but you know, there is some common sense out there, and it's always a good idea. And I'm not saying this to hawk us, but you need to sometimes hire someone who knows what they're talking about, even if it's for like a 4 hour chat.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense. If, you don't know what you don't know.
right, exactly.
Find someone who does.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, so that's a good question though. Would you do that? Would you like let
We have
someone at
hour
home
blocks. Yeah, we have hour
just
blocks.
pay for
We just did that for
information?
that guy, remember?
Yeah. Yeah. But I just didn't know if that was something that you would want to do
It,
regularly.
it's you need to be very so that with working with home, the problem is that you basically own them at a certain point, and you have to be very careful and set very strict perimeters. I do it because I want to help people out, but at a certain point, you just have to cut off communications and say, look, if you want to buy a support contract for $2,000 a month, I'll keep talking to you, but
Okay, so
I
something like
set you up, I fixed your problem. I'm not on call for the rest of my life. And don't
sure.
call me at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night and expect me to answer you or be happy
Yeah.
about it or at 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Okay.
But you could listen to our podcast and information.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Loads.
Awesome.
Loads.
Right. So much free and it's free. It's free
Exactly.
information.
Yes. It's
Okay.
worth it. It's worth it at
Okay.
twice the price.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for topic. I do have some questions if you want to give me your professional opinion
I
or
will. And I'll probably be
facts.
mostly honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right. Number one, why do public agencies prioritize compliance and continuity while private companies focus on efficiency and
Public agencies have to because government stability is a criticality for societal stability. So they have to maintain stability. Private because they have more money, more looser acquisition and acquiring chain, purchasing chain, so they can make changes far more quickly than the government. Although there's a lot of government acquisition things that really need to be streamlined. And that
yeah,
they're still doing stuff like you did in the 50s, and that stuff needs to be moved. So, yeah.
good. Okay. Two, how do budget cycles in government limit the adoption of cutting edge cybersecurity tools?
Well, so they run September to September or October to
Hmm.
September is their fiscal year. But you have to basically have your budget approved, I think by December or the previous year or by August of the previous year. And if there's no allocation, then you can't do anything. I remember doing consulting at a state agency, and it's like, I brought up these issues that I found, and like, we don't have money for it. We'll deal with it next year. And it's like, well, it's November, and next year is September. And they're
Right.
like, well, do your best.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. And my response was, well, if I can fire these 5 people, I'll have the
Hmm.
budget for it. Which they didn't think was funny because I was an outside consultant, and I just
Yeah. No, thank
apparently
you.
that's not funny to them. So.
Three, in what ways does national security shape how public entities respond to cyber threats compared to corporations?
So national security, I mean, you have to, especially if you're in the defense supply chain, you have to adhere to those policies of CMMC and the policies of the primes, because if that data, those pieces of information are stolen, and how you make that widget that supports the bigger widget that supports the bigger widget that turns into a missile, then, that has to be
Right.
so national security is a priority. Now, I will tell you there are certain things that are a little like head scratchers, like when the box company that made a component for some top secret weapon
Oh
was
yeah.
like, we have to be NIST compliant. for this box, and it was like a 3x5 box, and it's like it's a box, and it's like yeah, but it's a box that this goes in.
It has a very important parts
Why
and
doesn't the government
components.
just buy a box and fit the thing in there? I mean, it's not 3x5 is 3x5. It's not, you know, 24 and a third by, 16 and 5/8. It's 3x5.
Why might a private company delay implementing strong security controls until after a breach occurs?
Poor leadership, budget. Um, they don't understand. No, poor leadership in the fact that they don't understand the need. They don't understand the threat that's out there. So that would be not necessarily poor leadership that's at doing the money. It's like poor IT leadership at times is the problem because they're not communicating effectively. Or you may have be rock solid technologists, but have zero people skills and unable to communicate and bridge that gap between the technical, to the managerial class, which doesn't understand that, you've got, exposed APIs that are critical. And they're like, well, what's an API? They don't, you know, we don't have proper ACLs. What's an ACL? Our data is in the wrong VLAN. Well, it's for regulated data. Well, why is that an issue?
Yeah. Well, yeah, why?
So, I mean, but where the technical guys like, well, duh, and the managerial guys like, I've never heard these words that are coming out of your mouth, so please explain it to me, kind of thing.
Which probably would be helpful.
Yeah.
All right. 5. How do legal and regulatory frameworks like FISMA or SOC 2 shape each sector of cybersecurity?
They shape each sector by, stipulating a set of requirements that have to be followed to be compliant with that specific control, but that specific compliance framework.
6. What are the risks of private companies owning critical infrastructure that supports public?
Um, well, the public requirement is a lot of times different than the private requirement. So you have to have special, like Microsoft has an entire dedicated area to CMMC. Like they have, instead of having the typical just regular Azure, you know, data centers, they actually have a CMMC cloud because so you can't have, can't have, um, you can't share infrastructure across the way. Everything has to be segregated. So, and that's why. Now, there's a business model. If you have the money that Microsoft does, you can do that, but a lot of companies can't. So,
Okay.
and
7.
then real quickly, so in the private page also, if you have a component of your business that does public sector business, so you all of a sudden you have to deal with like the box manufacturer, they have nine manufacturing lines that make regular boxes. They got one that makes NIST, and this NIST one has to be special. So, or CMMC one has to be special. So,
Okay, 7. How does talent mobility between public and private sectors affect cybersecurity innovation?
well, you generally don't go from private to public. You try to go from public to private. Um, and try to, how do I say this without sounding derogatory? But, a lot of people believe the average IT worker in the public sector is a minor league player as opposed to the private sector because they don't
Oh,
have the same requirements. There's a lot more of them. They have, but they can't, sometimes, well, I don't know if it's still this way anymore, but they can't be fired. So they don't have the accountability required. Now, you're going to have high-end talent a lot of times in like the NSA, the CIA, those kind of things, because that's really hot, sexy stuff, right? But and DoD, you're going to have a lot of guys in there that are in the military that are, being trained to do that, but they turn over for every 4 or 5 years because they want to get to to get to the private sector because they don't want to make, $18,000 a year as an
yeah,
E4. They want to make
right.
$150,000 a year as a, network engineer. So
All right. 8. Why is information sharing between government and private industries often limited, even though threats overlap?
because the government wants to ensure that they can protect themselves from the threat before it's publicized. And if they let the private sector know, it'll get publicized. Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Uh, Okay, 9, how do accountability and transparency differ when a government agency is breached versus a private business?
Government is not necessarily going to tell you, where a private business has to tell you. Because there's SEC rules, there's shareholder fiduciary duties, that sort of thing. And here's a case in point about the government. A couple years ago, CISA shared that they had found X number of vulnerabilities of the specific class in, and I can't remember the department. Let's call it the Department of Energy. They shared it was there, and they shared that it would all be remediated by mid-June. Guess what? They got hacked before mid-June because they basically told the hackers, "Oh, you got to mid-June to get this done."
Right, here's your time frame.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, that is a very good reason as why we don't do that. All right.
10, what lessons could the private sector learn from the public sector's structured frameworks and vice versa?
Oh, I think the private sector could learn by actually adhering to these frameworks that the government is required to. The private sector could teach the public sector innovation and the ability to be nimble.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
And that's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, cybercrime is still bad. We're both tired today. It's Friday, late afternoon. I haven't had lunch, and Mari drove 900 miles. So, and she's feeling it. So, everybody have a great day. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye.